Hello, and welcome to another episode of Saturday Night Sleepover. Today we are joined by Lindsey Taylor.
Heyo.
Lindsey and I, we work closely together. We don't work for the same place, but we do a lot of event planning together and stuff like that. We spend a lot of time together.
Exactly.
I think some weekends we talk to each other more than we talk to our husbands.
Yes, and some people think we're sisters.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, one time I walked into a restaurant and she said, "Hey, are you Lindsey's sister?" And I was like, "Well, thank you. Lindsey is very beautiful, but I'm not her sister." And she was like, "Oh, okay." And then I texted Lindsey and I was like, "Hey, I guess we're sisters." She's like, "Well, I've always wanted a sister."
It just worked out perfect.
So, how was your week, Lindsey?
It was a busy week. So I have two kids. So back to school and sports and life. And there was a big major festival in town this weekend that we both got to help with. So I'm overcommitted right now. Let's just say that. I am overcommitted.
And then you come on my podcast.
Like I said, overcommitted. And we've got 2 more events coming up next weekend.
Yes. We decided to plan 3 events in 8 days. And
I added another one for my job. So 4 events in 8 days.
So we are at the max.
Yes.
You would think September would wind down, but it is ramped up.
We're all ready for fall.
Yes.
Outside being not 1,000 degrees.
Do you like pumpkin spice?
I had my first pumpkin spice last week.
Oh, really? How do you feel about
big news. It's fine. I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't either. I don't like.
I mean, it's fine. It tastes nothing like pumpkin. I guess it's just seasonings that are in pumpkin.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. But Starbucks, buy one, get one free on Thursdays in September.
Oh, of just pumpkin spice
of
or
their
anything
fall
of their
drinks.
fall. I take the non-popular opinion and think that caramel apple spice is better.
Oh, 100%.
Than
100%.
Pumpkin spice.
Yes. So I've been allowing myself to drink a little PSL every Thursday afternoon. I still don't think I'm in though.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm in.
Well, the other thing that we do all the time is we'll go to Sonic. We'll do Sonic runs in the middle of the day whenever it's busy weeks, me and Lindsey.
Oh, yes. Sonic is my jam.
So maybe we'll replace Sonic with Starbucks.
Thursday afternoon.
Thursday afternoon Starbucks.
With 2 events this weekend, we probably need Starbucks. We'll get one for now, one for later.
Except for Thursday, I'm going to podcast conference in Bentonville.
Ooh, that's awesome.
So I'm super excited about that.
Awesome. So what happens at podcast conference?
Networking. The reason why I want to go is because our podcast is growing, and I'm at a point where once you get over the hump of figuring out how it's gonna fit into your life, then after that there's not really you can read as many articles as you want, but there's not really someone there to guide you through it. There's no handbook on how to produce. What am I from? Canada? No shade at Canadians, but produce podcasts. There's no I mean, I guess maybe there is a handbook.
It's here's how you start.
Yeah.
But then once you're started, you're on your own.
Yeah. So what I hope to get out of a podcast conference is networking and meeting other people in the business so that I can say, hey, what are you using for XYZ? How does this work for you?
In the biz.
Yeah. And I have been trying to figure out monetizing and figuring out the best way to go about that. And so just there's so many things that I want to learn.
That's awesome.
I'm hoping to meet cool people and learn it from them.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I got in before you meet all these cool people to be on your podcast next week.
Yes, so Lindsey goes to she's a frequenter at one of the places that I run in the summer for my seasonal employees. And I see her with her headphones in all the time, and I say, I hope you're listening to a good podcast.
Yes, I said it's I'm sitting here with you. You're just sitting in my ear while I'm hanging out and you're working.
I sort of love that.
Yes, it is fun. What I love about podcasts is I can listen, but still be doing what I need to be doing, but listening to what I want to listen to. And I can either learn something, or I can laugh, or or I can do whatever and still get done what I have to get done. I love podcasts.
We can talk about the ethics of whether or not headphones are okay at work if you work in an office job.
I think I wear one headphone in the office. So my office, I do not have. It's one office where there's 6 desks. So no one has doors. We're all in one kind of communal space. So I leave one earphone in so I can listen to what I want to listen to. But then if someone needs me, I'm not totally unavailable. If the phone rings, I can still answer it. So I think headphones are fine as long as you can still be present with your coworkers.
Yeah. My office, I have my own office. And so I usually like listen to it out loud so that people know that I'm listening to something. But then also, like, I listen to a lot of murder podcasts or, like, well-being podcasts. And so...
I wonder what Charli's coworkers think about her when they walk by her office.
or like, escaping cults,
yes.
Stuff like that. And so, like, some of that stuff is kind of heavy. And if you walk past my office, like, I just, like, put it down as low as possible, but that I could still hear it. But then I'm like, should I wear a headphone? But then at the same time, sometimes I have to answer the phone. Sometimes random people pop up in my window. Like, I don't want them to think that I'm not paying attention or get caught off guard.
That's where the one headphone comes into play.
Yeah.
Because then I can hear it, but I can pause it real quick. I can focus. My hair covers it most of the time, so you don't even know what's in there.
Yes.
So I think headphones are fine. But putting both in when you work in a communal space, I think that's where I draw the line.
The problem is the headphones that I have, they get thrown off if I only have one in use.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so maybe I just need new headphones.
My cheap deal of the day headphones. They're working well. So murder mystery podcasts or murder crime podcasts.
Crime podcasts are a lot of fun. Some of them might...
A lot of fun.
I mean, I can get burned out on them too. I most recently, as far as like it's crime sort of things, I listened to Scamanda. Did you listen to that
I actually don't listen to murder podcasts at all, so this is all new for me.
What kind of podcasts do you listen to besides this one?
Yeah, usually like self-help type. I don't know if that's the right word, but like, I don't know. I'm a mom with 2 kids. When I get a little bit of time to myself, it's like, okay, I want to make this productive. And so it's like, let's do something that's going to help me. Or like people interviewing authors that I like, stuff like that. I do a few like church podcasts, but for the most part, it's just, I don't want to say mindless, but ones that can just be playing in the background that when I pick something up, it's like, oh yeah, that's a good key takeaway. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. That is how I like to listen to podcasts too. So that's why I'm like, I would really like to move in the direction of like getting on YouTube because I know that that's important as a podcaster. But then like, I'm like, I don't watch the YouTube.
Right.
ones.
I just
listen to them. And so I don't want to get to the point where the podcast is not consumable in the way that I do. Because sometimes if you listen to the ones that are on YouTube, they're like, oh, look at this picture of this guy doing this thing. And I'm like, I can't
see it.
So that's why I try to be as like descriptive as possible and stuff.
Right. Have you seen the new trend where people are talking about how men think about
the Roman Empire
every day?
Yeah.
And that people are saying women, it's murders.
Oh, yeah.
If someone murdered me, or I wonder if that's a murder, or it's weird, but women we think very differently than men.
Yes. But my mom has been like a really private person like my whole life. And one day, like maybe 5 years ago, she just drops on me that like when she was like my dad had been like off like working nights or whatever, and so she was constantly worried about somebody breaking in the house and hurting her. And she talked her way out of like a rapist coming into that. Sorry.
Oh my gosh.
Trigger warning. I know I'm the worst at this, but she talked her way out of a rapist coming into her house because she had thought about it so many times. And yes. Like he came up to her with a knife, and she was like, "You don't want to do this. I have AIDS." And then that was like her way of like talking her way out of it. And he was like, she had to like educate him on like what AIDS was and why he didn't want to. He's like, oh, okay. And then he's like, and that worked. And then he's like, give me all your money. and then she had just like emptied out her bank accounts, and like all of her money was in the bottom of her purse, but she had like $5 at the top of her purse. And she like pulls out the $5 and she says, my husband's really mean to me. He only lets me have $5 at a time.
She really thought this through.
Yeah, she like had a whole plan, and she talked her way out of getting assaulted.
Have you ever done that though in a parking lot where you walk out of a car and you see your car and it's like, okay, there's that person. What would I do if that person came to me? Have you done that? I mean, I do it every time I leave, totally subconsciously.
Yeah. Well, when I first started dating Colton, we were in a situation like that where we were on a date until like 3 a.m. because we loved each other. And
well, past tense.
Well, we do love each other, but now we live together. So, yeah. We were on a date until like 3 a.m, and then he took me back to like the bowling alley parking lot that we met up at, because he was still a creepy man from the internet at that time. I didn't want him to know where my house was, and then there was like, oh.
My earring just fell out. Anyway, continue your story.
So then there's like a car in the parking lot, and I'm pretty sure they were like expecting someone to come buy drugs from them. Mm-hmm. I don't know, but that's the expectation that I thought in my mind. And so like when we got there, they're like, hey, come over here, and we're like, no, we're good. And then I was like, this dude is creepy guy from the internet, but those dudes are creepy guys from the parking lot. What do I do? And I was like a 22-year-old single girl, and I was like,
which is less creepy.
So I was like, I'm really worried about those guys over there. I don't want them to follow me home and like beat me up or something. And he was like, Colton leans over to me. He goes, don't worry, I have a baseball bat in the back of my car. I'll protect you. And I was like,
go all Carrie Underwood on it.
Yeah, but I was like, at first I was like, creepy dude from the internet. I barely know you, but I know you a little bit more than those guys. At least I know that I'm protected somewhat by this dude.
Baseball bat.
And I was like, okay, can you just follow me to that stoplight? And then we fell in love later, and it was fine.
And he wasn't as creepy. It's great. You made the right choice.
I see these videos on like in my feeds all the time, and it's like when you realize that like this dude that lives in your house was once just some dude from the internet, and now you guys are like in love and have a life together. I relate with that so hardcore.
Yeah. Well, my husband and I met when I was 14, so a little bit of a different. He was just the weird kid in band. But it worked out okay.
What did your husband play in band?
He played the trumpet, and yours truly played the flute and piccolo. So
are those next to each other in band?
No.
Oh.
No. He longingly looked across the room at me.
Oh wow!
Yes,
wow.
Yes. So I said no for a very long time. At least he's nothing if not persistent. So, yeah. Wow. So I don't have creepy internet guys, but I do think about that when I go places.
You do have creepy band stairs.
Yeah. Which,
no, just kidding.
No, but I do think about that a lot when I'm by myself. Like I was at an event the other day, and one of the organizers was like, "Oh, it's 5:45 in the morning when we're getting set up." And they're like, "Just park over there." Well, naturally, it was a man, and it was 200 yards in the dark, and I'm like, but there's a creepy shed out there, and what if someone's living in there, and what would I do if this person came out? Like, I could play the whole scenario. Like your mom, I had a plan. Mm-hmm. I knew what I was going to do. So I just don't think men think about that as much as we do.
Yeah, probably. Well,
the Roman Empire, I don't think I've thought about the Roman Empire since like 9th grade.
I thought about the Roman Empire when I watched the new Indiana Jones movie.
Ooh, I haven't seen the new one.
I don't, maybe that's the homeschooler in me, but I'm pretty sure it was the Roman Empire that they went to.
Could have
been. But yeah, well, growing up, I remember learning the sentence, like, the sun never set on the Roman Empire or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I think about that all the time. And I'm sure that there's other empires that, like, have grown that much. But yeah.
1,000 years from now, what are people going to say about us?
The meme I saw recently was like 1,000 years from now, the difference between a booty call and a butt dial, nobody will know the difference, and
no wonder the Bible's so confusing.
Yeah,
I saw that too.
Yep.
Amen.
Yep. Anyway, yeah. So, what are you watching these days?
What am I watching? I made my husband go back and watch Virgin River with me on Netflix. So we're on the new season of Virgin River. I love medical dramas. So I kind of gave up on Grey's Anatomy because
really 24
seasons in, I just can't do it anymore. But I love Chicago Med and 911 and all of those. So yeah, and then I like I do the whole Chicago Med, Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, all those. So I don't want to visit Chicago. No shade to Chicago people, but there's a lot of stuff that happens there.
You don't want to see the beam?
I don't know if I need to go to Chicago. But yeah, I like the medical dramas. Those are my faves right now. Yeah.
Is there any new ones out right now?
I feel like 911 is maybe one of the newest ones. It's in LA, and then they have 911 Austin.
When I think about 911, I think about that show Cops.
Oh yeah, Cops. That's a good one. There's a new one now called On Patrol Live.
Oh.
Same idea, but they put live cameras on police officers, and you drive around and see all the chaos in our world. Makes me thankful to not live in a big city.
Yeah, same.
Because you've done both. You've done big city, you've done small town.
Yep. I really enjoy some parts of living in big cities. The big city that I'm the most familiar with is Washington, D.C. I lived there, and I always felt safe there.
Okay.
Like, you can walk around at the monuments at, like, 2 in the morning, and no one's there, and it's just peaceful and quiet. And so that's actually my favorite time to visit the monuments is at 2 in the morning.
When all the tourists are not there.
Yep. But, so... And then I feel like in Washington, D.C., it's maybe just a little bit more bougie of a city just because everyone there, most everyone there has an important job doing something for the government.
Yeah.
So I feel like that maybe makes it feel a little more bougie, but I don't know. Maybe I've never lived in any other large city, I don't think. Yeah, unless you count Colorado Springs.
It's bigger than
here. Yeah. But yeah. Anyway.
Small town life.
Speaking of big cities and traffic jams. The one traffic jam that our small town has is school pickup line.
I tell you, when I had kids, I feel like for lots of reasons there should be a class that you have to take before you're allowed to take a child home. And yeah, they make you like learn how to change a diaper and all those things, but like they do not prepare you for school year. And the school drop off and pickup lines, I mean, those people be wild, I tell you. So
what's the craziest thing you've seen?
Well, I mean, I've seen multiple wrecks just happen because people are crazy. Ugh. But I think the biggest thing is just everyone is in a hurry. And for some reason, that like Southern hospitality people talk about down here does not exist in the pickup and drop off line. Nope. It is every man for himself. So, like I think it's real cute when the dads like get out of the car and open the door for their little girls and give them a hug, but also like, move on. I got boys in the car that just need to tuck and roll. Like, we need to get on. So, I don't know. The rules don't apply to everyone in the pickup and drop off. It's like, I'm in a hurry. I'm going to do what I want to do. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I can imagine.
It's like there's a reason there's not a parking spot there.
Yeah.
Because no one can get around you.
I never have to do school pickup line, but I do have to go to the place that's next door to the school pickup line. Or next door to the schools, like sometimes
which
at the very beginning
of a lot of times the chaos.
Yeah.
It becomes part of the chaos. So our town has 2 schools side by side, and so just the traffic,
and they're not even the same ages. It's like different ages.
Yeah, it's like younger and middle school. I don't know, but anyway, it is just chaos. And so between kids crossing the road and parents trying to hop curbs and make their own exit and get from one school to the other. I have 2 different schools that I have to do pick up at that are across town from each other, which, I mean, across town is like not that far, but with traffic. So it's one of those, you either get there 45 minutes early or you might as well wait 20 minutes and go at the end. But
that's the same thing. Like, I think you've talked about before how like some parents are like, I'm going to be the first one. And I'm like, what does it matter?
We're
no all going to sit here for the same amount of time.
There's no prize for being first. Yeah. And then drop off is about the same. Like, just kids hopping out of cars wherever, just tuck and roll. Like, it's a real thing. Like, bye, have a good day. So I don't know. I feel like our world is just a little chaotic right now, and people's true colors shine in the pick up and drop off line.
I honestly feel like, because like 2020, everything shut down. 2021, half of the things were shut down. 2022, like 3/4 of the things were shut down, and then 2023, everything's open. And, like, people forgot.
We have forgotten how to human.
Yeah. Because I had to deal with the public all summer, and I was like, I can't believe this is happening.
Yeah. I know. I feel like COVID really, like, we forgot how to communicate. We forgot how to be together. We forgot how to share space. And it's wild. So, anyway, yeah. The pick up and drop off situation is just it's a whole thing. You could use it for torture for, like, prisoners. Sit here and wait for the next person who tries to cut you off, or try to get out into traffic and see if someone will let you in. I mean, it's a barter system.
Truly.
What do you have? I'll trade you.
We should just, like, start airdropping things to people around.
Yes, how much time to Venmo you to let me out, please? I got Starbucks BOGO. You want one?
Starbucks BOGO to the first person that lets me in front.
Dude, there's your business plan. Is some food truck just park at the school for parents who are stuck in their car pickup line.
Or take your food truck to school pickup line.
I'm telling you, I would pay a lot of money for a drink when you're sitting in the, not that kind of drink, well, that too, but like just any sort of beverage or snack while you're sitting for half an hour in the pickup line. And there's nothing worse than like, oh great, now I have to go to the bathroom and I'm stuck here.
That should be with the homeschool kids too. They just like show up with one of those like
home-baked goodies.
Yeah, like, or like at the baseball games. I don't know if they still do it at baseball games, but like where they have like the tray in front of them.
Pretzels!
Get your peanuts!
Oh, I'm telling you, they'd make some money.
Yeah.
You're looking for a fundraiser idea. Sell to the parents who are sitting ducks in their car at the pickup line.
I do think about handing out license plate tags. Because, like, my target audience for the podcast is moms sitting in pickup lines. So if I give everybody a license plate, like, around the thing, most people just have the one that was on there when they bought the car.
From the car dealership.
So, like, I'm sure they'd be like, okay, sure, whatever.
Well, if your target market is moms in the pickup line, they understand what I'm talking about. It does not matter where you are or where you live. I think it's universal. The pickup line is the worst.
Yeah. It is a hazard.
It is a hazard, yeah. I mean, kids are worth it, whatever, but...
Yeah. Let me tell you about Lindsey's kids, man. I don't have kids, and when I met Lindsey's kids, and anytime I hang out with Lindsey's kids, her kids, I see them at my programs fairly often that I do for work, and every time I hang out with Lindsey's kids, most of the time when I hang out with people that have kids, I'm like in that experience and say, I mean, I could take it or leave it. Like maybe kids are for me, maybe they're not. But when I hang out with Lindsey's kids, I immediately leave that situation. I was like, I want kids just like Lindsey's because they're so entertaining.
They are nothing if not entertaining. Yeah. So I have my 9-year-old is my oldest, and he was born an 85-year-old man. I don't know what it is. He is a crotchety, cranky old man. And he communicates like an old man. He likes black coffee. He likes to watch war documentaries. Like, I don't even know. I can't even make this up. Like, he's now decided he wants to be a police officer when he grows up. And so they're having career day at their school, and he has to dress up for it. And he was like, yeah, Mom, I remember when I was in 2nd grade, and I was just wandering around, didn't know what I wanted to be. But now I know. Like, you were just wandering around 2nd grade.
I think he was the one that, like, when I had put on an event and I did an air horn at the event, he looks at me and goes, really? An air horn? Was that really necessary?
He does. He does not like any attention on him. He is a champion eye roller. I mean, he's good. But he's also, he's a good help. If I need something done, that's the one I go to because he's a good help. And then my 7-year-old is just wild. and not in like a feral way, but he is just the total opposite, wild card. You never know, but he's fun. Like, he keeps me laughing.
And he's fast. Like, he will respond before I even have gotten my, like, thought out. He, like, he knows, like, a punchline, and he knows, like, how like, his brain works faster than mine does as a grown-up human.
I have always said everybody needs an Owen, because there's just something about him that, like, he makes you laugh, and he keeps you on your toes, and you never know what you're going to get with him. He has dressed himself since he was old enough to dress him, like, put on clothes, and you never know what you're going to get, but at some point it's like, it's fine, you're clothed, I don't care. I have enough decisions to make in a day. You look great. So, yeah, so they're funny, but man, kids are wild, and they're fun. My kids, just by the nature of my job, and my husband has to work quite a bit, so they just have to come to things with me, you know, and so I like that they're seeing the amount of effort that goes into things, but I'm also I don't want them to get to the point where they're like, ugh, volunteering is awful, right?
Yeah.
So you have to try to balance that. Like, I want to instill in them, love your community, give back, invest in what's important, but then also not burn them out before they can drive.
Yeah. Well, I grew up that way too. My mom, because I was homeschooled, so my mom just took me everywhere with her, and from the ages of like 11-ish to like 14-ish. Well, actually 11-ish to like now. She's doing the same thing, but she was the most active in my like formative teen years to maybe like 16. She did local politics and then state politics. So I spent my like almost your age of your kids like on the road with her on a political campaign. And so I learned so much from that. And I don't, like, as a person that, like, had to go around because she didn't have anywhere else for me to go, like, I learned so much. Like, I addressed the city council for the first time when I was 12 years old. Like,
yeah. So do you feel like that makes you want to be in politics or stay away from politics?
Well, I mean, I work for a municipal government, so I can't really engage in politics anyway because I'm the person doing the work. So
sure, in your current role, it's not an option.
It's not really even an option in my current role. But as far as politics, like there is a term that I learned growing up that it's called you fall in love with the smell of bumper stickers in the fall. and I do.
I've never heard that before.
It just like is a just paints a picture of like what it's like to be on the campaign trail. And I really enjoy like the parts of campaign trail that like are the events, the people, the things like that. And so that's what I ended up doing for a living. I create programs. I manage public facilities.
Yeah. You do all the things you liked about it without running for office.
Yes. And I think that there really is you and I both know there is an art to event planning.
Oh my gosh. Yes. And I think you learned it early.
Yeah.
I got thrown into it at my previous job. And so, yeah, thankfully, people put up with a lot when I first started, but now I feel like, gosh, 13, 14 years in, it's like, okay, I'm learning.
Yeah.
But every event teaches you something still.
You always, there's a bunch of key things that you have to know in order to, and have to think about if you're going to be planning an event. Like you have to think about like the logistics of how everything's going to run from a planning perspective. And then you also have to think of it as an event participant perspective. So basically, if you have anxiety,
this is not a job for you. Or if you have, a soft heart and can't take criticism. Which, I mean, TBH, I don't enjoy that part.
Yeah.
But you just gotta, I don't know. I put on a different persona when I'm at an event.
I think it really helps for me because I know that in order for me to have to, like, in order for me to do what I do as an event person and take the criticism that comes, I have to do every single thing that I know is possible to make sure that this event goes off correctly and with as smoothly as possible. And if I have done everything that I can, and I can, in a clear conscience, go to bed and say, I've done everything.
Yeah. My goal is always the stuff that I have control over is going to be the greatest that it can be.
Yep.
I can't control the weather. Never fails. The biggest event that I work on every year, people say, well, you know it rains every weekend. That is so helpful. Thank you so much.
I just love that.
I love spending 8 months of my year planning in an event, and that's all you can think about.
It's the weather.
Oh, but what about all those other great things that I did?
Yeah.
Do you find yourself now that you do events, like going and attending events and like thanking the people who put it on? I make it a point almost everywhere, like, thank you for doing that. I know that you worked really hard on this. Yes. I know that these little tiny details you took the time to think about. Thank you.
Yep. I don't. It's hard to find the event planners.
Well, that's true.
They're
the ones running around
doing whatever it needs to be done. But if I do, I usually try to be like, you should be really proud of how this event turned out, things like that, because I know that. Well, one of the things that I plan for my job is races, and I feel like racers are like running racers are typically like event attendees that are very extremely opinionated because they've been working so hard, and I totally understand. I totally understand why they're so opinionated about the event and the layout and the map and how many times I emailed them. But also at the end of the event, if they don't like the results, they will sometimes come and scream in my face.
Yes.
And
oh yeah, we hear from the people who don't like what we've done.
And so that's why I think if you plan races, it's like each person that you have in a race, if it's like a race of 125 people, then you can probably handle like 1,000, like 10 times whatever that number is. Yes. In just like regular event attendees.
Yes.
Because so like there will be like small little things like, oh, nobody showed me where the bathroom was, or whatever random complaint it is for like a regular event. Why can't I say that?
Event attendee.
Yeah. But then when it comes to like races, like, so I think that was one of my first events that I did, was the race. And so after I had my face screened in for that, I was like, oh, I can handle anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I planned a festival that had roughly 30,000 people 3 months into my job. In 2021. So it was the first festival that Arkansas was going to allow to happen after COVID. And so I'm like, if I can handle that, I think we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine.
Yep.
So, but you take something from every event you attend, you know, I look at all those details. I'm like, oh, I like that. I want to do that. Or you go to festivals or whatever, races, and just see what other people do. Do not reinvent the wheel. Just steal shamelessly if it's stealable.
I had a former supervisor at this role, and he would always say, we got a R&D, what I like to call rob and deliver.
Yes, I couldn't remember what it was. Rob and deliver, yeah. So, yeah, I think if you have never planned events, try it out before you commit to being your whole job. No, but think an event planner when you go to an event. Think an event planner, because they really do lose sleep.
Yes,
over
truly.
Those type of things to make sure you have the best event.
Well, I also use it in my family too. It also becomes really helpful because like that's the role I play in my family too. Is like they want me to plan the family events and things like that. But also I was raised by a mom who made sure that we were all very opinionated and
props, Mom,
and said our opinions, and that is really great until you're planning a family reunion
for all people with strong opinions.
So I at some point I just have to like get extremely firm with my boundaries and just say, hey, listen, you either trust that I like thought of every single thing possible and like figured out the cheapest way and like for all of us to be in the same building and this, that, and the other, like create our best outcome possible, or you don't. And if you do not trust me, I am not planning this.
Yes.
I don't want to plan this. So that has been my last week.
I would be happy to just attend if you want to handle it.
That has been my last week of being like, hey, this is the place I found. Do you guys want me to continue doing this? If you do, I'm going to need you to submit a deposit because I'm not paying this deposit by myself. And you need to like show me that you're actually going to show up and that you're going to trust my decisions.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm done. I'm out.
How many people at your family reunion do you think?
All their names are right there on the board. There's
like 20?
Yeah, it's like 20-ish people.
Okay.
But it's like because I have 4 sisters and each one of them is married and has 4 kids, and then there's one that's pregnant right now. So then we have to like take it. Yeah. So it's like a whole situation, which is fine. But then the husbands come or the husband's not coming, like because a lot of them travel for work and stuff, and so it's just like a lot of logistics and arrangements. So this last week, I was like, hey, guys, this is what I found. This is how much it's going to be. And they were like, well, we don't agree with that price point and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, you think you can find a better deal? Okay, sounds great. And then they're like, let's go on a cruise. And I said, you're volunteering to plan
that for everyone?
Yeah, to plan a family cruise? Yeah, just go ahead and make sure you tell me where to sign up and how much it's going to be, and then what activities I should sign up for, and then make sure that everybody communicates with each other and doesn't get upset, and then, like, you go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
It would be a blessing for me to not have to do this.
So, recovering people pleaser here. Firstborn daughter. You know, there's a stigma of the firstborn daughter, which you're not firstborn daughter.
No, I'm youngest.
Lastborn daughter. Yeah. So firstborn daughter is you're the planner. You got to plan everything, especially as you get older. And I have kind of put a boundary in place over some things that have happened. I'm like, I'm just not going to plan anymore. Mm-hmm. It's amazing watching the world continue to spin and people just step up and do it. So, you know. Try that sometime. Well, on this.
I gave them a firm boundary. I was like, guys, you got to talk with your families and decide whether you want to put this deposit down, because we're not going to secure our dates unless you put the deposit down and everybody commits. And I'm not going to plan this, so please let me know by Friday. It's Sunday. Nobody texted me, so I guess they don't want me to plan it.
I guess you're not going to wherever this one was. Maybe you can find a cruise.
Yeah, well, I'm not planning a cruise. Somebody else can plan a cruise. I want to plan. The reason why I'm like, I will take on the planning, but if I'm going to take on the planning, I need to feel like moved by the space. I need to figure out like how like it will all work. Like there can't be holes in it if it's going to be something that I'm planning. I need to make sure that everything is accounted for. So, like, one of the values that's really important to me is I want us all to be under the same roof, which finding a place for 20 people to be under the same roof is not hard. Or is not simple.
It's not easy.
It is very hard.
And then, it's expensive.
Yes, and it's expensive. It's not going to be, like, something that you could just, like, dream up overnight.
Yes.
And you're going to have to, like, reserve it early.
Way in advance.
So, and then another thing that is really important to me is that there is just space or something to do while you're there.
So you're not just like in the woods in a cabin somewhere, but you've got to have something to do.
Well, I mean, we can be in the woods in a cabin somewhere, but there also should be maybe like a lake game kayaks or something like that. Like the last time I planned one was in 2019, and I got us a house that it was like every single person had their own bedroom, and then there was like a bunk room for the kids, and like it was just massive. It was like a 10-bedroom house. And then it was set up, it was like a nightly rental, in a nightly rental, like cul-de-sac. And then across the street, there was a water park.
Nice.
So, and it was just like for anybody who was staying there to use. Okay. So it was like a really cool, like it was a vacation destination place. And the other thing I say is if I'm going to plan it, it needs to be near me because I want to use my resources and be able to like make this good for everyone. Because if I'm planning something far away, I don't know where the closest grocery store is.
Right.
I don't know that sort of stuff. So, This year I found it. Have you ever been to Mount Sequoia?
Yeah.
I found Mount Sequoia, and it was reasonably priced, and for everybody to stay under one roof, and every single room has a queen bed and a bathroom in it, and then there's a communal kitchen, and then Mount Sequoia is like, when you go out there, it's like Dirty Dancing.
Oh,
like,
it's beautiful.
There's like mountains and bike paths and bikes you can rent and like fire pits and things to do there.
But then you're still like 10 minutes from a city too.
Yeah, you're like 10 minutes from a city, so we could go to Topgolf, we could go to Theater Squared, we could go to like whatever we wanted to in town 10 minutes away, and then
still be secluded and together and all that.
So when I plan family reunions, I plan us all like for a certain amount of days, and then everybody gets a day that they have to make food for the entire family. And then there's one activity that everybody has to do together. And then after that, like, there's a list of things you can pick from to do and break off to do by yourselves. And so this mom will watch these kids and go this place or whatever, and everybody just like makes core memories with the kids. So it would be a lot of fun. And the price was that it was like it's gonna be like $5,000 for the accommodations, just for the house,
for like a long weekend.
For it's like a Thursday to a Tuesday.
Okay.
Because it's in between the two spring breaks. Like, my sisters also don't have the same spring breaks with their kids. So I'm like, one of you is going to have to miss the last few days of school, and one of you is going to have to miss the first few days of school if we're going to make this work, and then go over a weekend. And so everybody agreed to that arrangement. And then I said, okay, I'm going to go see if the place has accommodations for those dates. They did. And so I said, all right, what's the pricing schedule? And so it was going to be like $5,000 for the entire week for everyone to stay. We're all splitting that 5 ways.
Right.
So it's $220 a night for an entire family.
Right. That's pretty good.
Which is reasonable. And then one of my sisters was like, and then at the end of the day, it's like $150 deposit, because it's like whatever, 10% or whatever it was. So it's like $150 deposit that everybody would have to put down like 2 days to get that date in. And then one of my sisters was like, $220 a night just for the house, and then we have to pay for other things. Like, I'm used to camping. Can we find a campground? And I was like, no, I'm sorry.
Are you a camper? I don't like to sleep on the ground.
I love camping, but I'm not camping for a family reunion.
No. Everybody needs their own space and their own toilet.
So then she starts contributing ideas, and she's like, we can do like this one campground in Devil's Den, and there's cabins there, and so people who have trailers can stay in trailers, and then people who have cabins can rent the cabins for $150 to $200 a night.
To save $20 to make it that much more complicated.
And I was like, if you would like to plan this, please. And then she said, well, why don't we go on a cruise for $220 a night? And I was like, I'm so sorry.
But then you have to pay for to get down there and wherever you're taking off of.
Exactly. And this is the sister that doesn't have to travel to come to this. So I was like, do you understand how rude you're being?
Yes.
By one of my sisters has to come from Hawaii.
Right.
Like, do you understand how rude you're being?
Dude, that's true love, though.
Yeah.
Flying from Hawaii for a family reunion.
Exactly. I mean, if we wanted to do cheap, we could all fly to Hawaii, but then you're not going to like the price tag when you have to pay for your 4 kids to fly to Hawaii either. You might as well just go with what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness.
Yes.
I was like, so that's, at that point, I was like, I'm too emotionally invested in this. If you're going to like continue to make this an issue, if you're going to continue to make this an issue, I'm just going to say, you either tell me if you're going by Friday or not. And then I even saw that sister on Friday, and she didn't even bring it up. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm not going to plan this anymore.
Yes. Well, my family, all of my close family all lives here. So, we're going to dinner tonight, so we see each other all the time. But my extended family, so my family is all Hatfields from the Hatfields and McCoys. So they have a big Hatfield family reunion every year up in Kentucky, which is hundreds and hundreds of people get together, and it's like, woo, I didn't know I had this much family. This was fun. So, I mean, for me, it's like a 14, 15-hour drive. So I think I've done it twice in my whole life. But I don't know. I feel like with like Facebook and stuff like that, I know what all these people are doing. It's almost like class reunions and high school reunions. Like the people I want to stay in touch with, I'm still in touch with. I don't have to go 14 hours to see all of you. But props to you for planning that and trying to plan and keeping the family history alive. So
I think because I have aging parents. My mom was 40 when she had me, so I think a lot of it is like how much, like, very sadly, but like we need to be making memories with grandma and grandpa right now.
Yeah, no, I get that. My dad died at 59, totally out of nowhere in the middle of COVID. And so we've had some of those moments where it's like, boy, I'm really glad we did X. I'm really glad that we took those pictures and all of that. So I get that. Make those memories and take pictures. Pictures are my love language, though. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
what else do you want to talk about?
We can talk about kids sports.
Oh man,
that's in the same vein as
pickup
line.
Yeah, did you play sports growing up?
I was a cheerleader and I was in drama club. So my mom had me and my sister. We were required to go to the same. So I was homeschooled, but then I went to a couple of classes at the high school, which qualified me to participate in after school activities
like sports
and stuff. Yeah. Okay. So my mom, she wanted me and my sister to do the same things.
Okay.
And so we were in the same classes at first, and then we also had to go out for the same extracurriculars. So the cheer team really wanted my sister.
So they got you too.
So they knew that they had to accept me as well if they wanted her.
Oh, that's
so
funny.
Yes, I was a cheerleader in high school. However, how much I really made the team, I'm not sure.
Well, I played every sport. I feel like we rolled from one to the next. Volleyball was my love, but I played softball and basketball and all of that. I don't think that we were ever at home on a weekend. Like, we were traveling all over, like, a 3-hour radius from here every weekend. And then my brother played a different sport, and so we would split up, and my dad would go with him, and my mom would go with me, or vice versa. And I tell you what, I don't want to do that. I don't think I'm cut out for travel sport parent life. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot. So we do the local whatever, local rec league, but still, it's like, we're tiptoeing into travel ball this fall, and thankfully it's all friends. You know what I mean? It's like my friends have kids that are my son's friends, and so it just works. You kind of just hang out with your friends at practice and at tournaments, but like, it's expensive. It's expensive to stay in a hotel for 2 nights. It's expensive to eat at the ball fields. It's expensive for all the things. So I don't know. And then at the same time, I'm like, kid is 7. Like, I had to remind him, like, not to pick his nose while we were watching a movie and not to eat it. Like, but I'm going to go pay $1,000 for him to play baseball? Like, he's 7.
Yeah.
So there's got to be balance. I wish there was more balance. But yeah, kids sports, man. I really try hard not to relive.
What sports does?
Well, right now, baseball and football.
Okay.
But we do flag football because that's a whole nother discussion of little kids playing tackle football. But yeah, so baseball is their true love, though. Which my husband played baseball, so it makes sense. I would have probably preferred something inside. It didn't go on forever.
Is there a boy sport that goes inside? Oh, basketball.
Basketball. Just that little sport. Yeah.
Basketball is probably my favorite one to watch.
Yeah. Are you, do you like college, NBA?
I don't. Okay, so we weren't allowed to watch sports growing up.
Hashtag homeschool.
Yeah, I have a pretty interesting background. I like to say that my mom was like a communist hippie, and not like a slur way, but like she wanted to make sure that everybody had the same, everything was fair for everyone. So we all got the same presents at Christmas time. And then also a hippie, so that like I was like encouraged to like educate myself and like outside of regular typical normal upbringing, like, so a communist hippie, like everybody had like the same, but also we were expected to like do it on our own, sort of.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. So you weren't allowed to watch basketball.
Yeah, because it was too much competition.
Oh, fair.
My mom says that she's trying to not have competition in the house, but she's like the most competitive.
And you have how many sisters?
I have 4.
Yeah, there's some competition there.
So, like,
That's so funny.
on paper it sounds good, but it was very interesting way to grow up.
Sure. Well, yeah, I grew up with a brother and all boy cousins, and so sports were life. So I learned to hold my own pretty well. But we like college. Because it's still fun at that point. You know what I mean? Once they start getting paid for it, it's like a job.
But although I heard that they're trying to do payments and brand deals and stuff.
There is some of that. I don't know. NBA, NFL, I'll watch it. It's not my jam. But I tell you, there is nothing like taking a nap to a football game on TV.
Yeah.
That's where it's at. I'm glad football's back.
Yeah. Well, my nephew that lives here, well, I have a bunch of, my sister lives here and she has a bunch of kids, but there's one nephew that is really taking interest into sports, and my sister does not watch sports, just like we didn't. And so she's like, I want to let him watch sports, but I don't know how to.
I don't know what to do.
She's like, can he come over to your house and watch sports? And I was like, I guess so. Colton watches sports. And so like we've started like making a more of an effort to like catch up with the games and like remember what.
Are you like the cool aunt?
I try to be.
Yeah.
Because like I don't have kids, so I'm like, hey, come do this cool fun thing with me that your mom doesn't let you do.
Yes, yeah, I get it. No, I had an aunt that didn't have kids, and she was always that one that's like, will you come take me to see this movie? Will you take me to this thing? Well, can I go with you? And now she does the same thing for my kids, so it's really fun. She takes them and does all the fun things.
Yay.
And, yeah. But see, I have boys, and so my brother has girls. And so it's kind of fun because I tell people I'm wasted on boys because it's like I want to do hair and play dress up and play Barbies, and I'm stuck with football and G.I. Joes, which is not quite the same thing. So when Aunt Lindsay comes around, we play dress up and paint our nails and do hair and all the fun things. So I get that. I try to be cool too.
Yeah. Well, because I lived with my sister for the first 8 months that I lived here in Arkansas. And she has 1 little girl and 3 little boys. And so the little girl, and my sister's not girly. She's more like eco hippie kind.
Okay.
And so I would paint my nails, and her little girl was like, can you do mine too? And I was like, yes, I will.
I love that. So what brought you to Arkansas?
My sister.
Okay.
So we were living in Utah, and we had bought our house at a reasonable price, and then the Californians
Back
came.
in the good old days.
The Californians like invaded Utah basically, and they raised all the prices because they were selling their houses for $1 million, buying for half that, and then not working.
Yeah.
So the
Must
economy,
be nice.
yeah, right. The economy was just like ruined because like the median household income was like 5 times less than the actual house price. So like people were trying to buy like $300,000 houses with $12 an hour jobs. And I was just like,
the math is not mathing.
The math is not mathing. And so we had bought a house at a reasonable price, and then we sold it for like $200,000 more. And I was like, okay, but we could sell, but then like, what do we do? And then my husband was working nights, and it was always my goal to be like, you need to not work nights anymore.
Nights is a whole thing.
That has been my goal since, because he's been doing nights his entire career of 15 years in manufacturing, and so I was like, yeah, it's been my goal this whole time that we've been together, that it's not good for your health, it's not good for you, like, we need to, I fear every time you're driving home that you're gonna fall asleep and like die. Yep. It's not worth this anymore. And so I was like, this is our opportunity. I'm going to find a job, and we're going to sell our house, and we're going to do the same thing that the Californians did.
But you taught me we'll move to Arkansas.
So it was just an economic opportunity, because I was like looking at the house prices, and then we came to visit my sister a few times, and I came out to the town that we work in, and I was like, I want to live here. Mm-hmm. This is so adorable. So then I started looking for jobs, and it just like lined up and was meant to be.
That's awesome.
And then I honestly, the job that I have, like, there is no other job that I would want to, because it is everything that I'm good at.
That's awesome.
So
and when you have a job like that, even the hard days, it's like, but I love my job.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I have the same.
Yeah.
Even on the hard days, I love my job.
Yeah.
I know what it's like to not love my job. I love my job.
I would take this over any other job.
Yes, I know. We've talked about that before. Like, but remember in our old jobs where things were not this good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At least I don't have to do X.
Yes. There's always at least I don't have to do this.
Yes.
And mine is real bad.
Hers is way worse than mine, for sure.
Well, when you get punched in the face for a living, and that's like not the hardest part of your job.
Yeah. No. My job is just people, you know? Mm-hmm. If I could just do my job and plan events and do what I wanted to do, I'm in.
Yeah. So that's how I ended up here. And so then Colton has had, like, he's always been like the kind of guy that he just like went to the factory that was in his small town because he was 18 years old and he needed a job. Mm-hmm. And then he all of a sudden has a 15-year career in manufacturing. And I was like, do you want to do that? Mm-hmm. You don't have to. You can do whatever you want. And so he's been on this, like, trying to figure out what he wants to do and how he wants to do it since we've been here.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I did the same thing. I went straight to a job at 18 and ended up being there for 13 years. And I was like, is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? Mm-hmm. Maybe it is. I don't know. But it turns out it wasn't. And then my husband did the same thing. He had always been in manufacturing and purchasing and stuff. And then he had a midlife crisis. And now he's found his happy place. Mm-hmm. So we have to do nights every now and then, which isn't my favorite. But he survived.
Yeah. Nights is so scary.
Yeah. Back to your murder mystery podcast that you listen to. Do you, when you're home alone, do you sleep worse or better?
It depends on how well I take care of myself.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because if I'm alone, sometimes, at first it's hard because you're used to sleeping with someone in your bed, and then you get used to sleeping by yourself.
Not being there.
And then you're like that, and it's the unfortunate thing of like, oh, I actually kind of like sleeping in a bed alone, but I will never tell Colton that.
Oh yes.
But then they come back and you're like, oh, I feel so much safer, and because like anytime like you do like a mindfulness or anything, and it's like, go to a place that you feel safe. Like, it's always, like, this is going to sound so cheesy, but, like, just snuggled up to Colton. That is the place that I feel the safest. Sure. It doesn't matter, like, I could say in my room, like, in like, camping in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. It just feels the safest right there. So, awesome. Like, there is that element of it, but then there's the element of, like, once you get used to not sleeping with another person, you're like, oh, I don't have to listen to you snore.
Yes. I know. Yeah. We've always had a queen bed our whole marriage. Mm-hmm. And now I'm like, no, we're going to have to get a king because I don't want to touch you. And I got really used to sleeping diagonal in the bed. This is not going to work for me.
Yes.
Have you heard the term revenge sleep? Have you heard this term?
No.
So apparently there's this new thing with people who don't have a lot of control of their daily life. So when their daily life is dictated by meetings and by kids and by just other outside influences, that when you finally get home and you can go to bed, you don't, because that's the first time in your day that you get to choose what you want to do. So I find myself, especially when my husband's working nights, I find myself like, but this is the first decision I get to make for me today. I'm not going to sleep. Like, I'm going to watch this show, and I'm going to do my nails, and I'm going to take a shower, and I'm going to eat a snack, and I'm going to do all this. And then all of a sudden it's midnight, and I have to get up in 5 hours.
Yeah.
What have I just done? And it's instant regret. So I try to do like one night where I do whatever I want to do, and then the next night I have to go to bed. But apparently it's like a thing that people don't, they finally get to choose what they want to do, and they don't choose sleep. And I feel that's so hard.
I've been trying so hard to like work on a sleep schedule, because I sleep so hard that I don't even hear an alarm. I don't do any of that. So I've been trying to like get to a place where I like am working on my sleep schedule so that I don't feel like I'm that tired all the time. Even though I don't have kids that wake me up in the middle of the night or something like that, I still have been trying to get like the better sleep, and it's still hard, even though you don't have things taking you away from your sleep.
Well, my kids sleep through the night now too, so I don't have that either, which is great. But I find that if I go to bed at a normal time, I wake up as soon as the sun wakes up, and I don't want to wake up at 5:30 on a Saturday.
I just don't have that problem.
Lucky. Yeah. But that's the one time I get to watch what I want to watch, or, you know, I don't have to argue with my husband about sports or whatever. So I tend to use those times to watch what I want.
Yeah.
And not go to bed.
Yes.
And then I pay for it the next day.
I've heard of that like a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway, well.
What else? We've talked for a whole hour.
Yeah, I know. It's you would think it would be harder, but you just get going and then you start talking, and that's it.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty good spot to take a pause and be done. How do you feel?
Hey, hopefully somebody enjoys it. I don't know. I don't know if anybody else is going to enjoy what we talked about.
Is this your first podcast that you've ever done?
No, I actually have helped produce a podcast before. But that one was a little bit more of like the talk about the guts of your feelings type situation. So that one was probably a little more stressful.
Yeah.
But no, I think they're fun.
Yeah. Anyway, well, thanks for coming on today.
Thank you.
And if you might have another guest spot sometime. So
if you don't meet a bunch of cool people at your podcast convention, you need me again, I would be honored.
Yay. Okay. Well, thanks for coming, and everybody like, share, follow, tell us how we did, give us reviews, go to the website, tell us about your embarrassing stories. Let us know if you want stickers, because I still have a bunch. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for listening.
Bye.